Good morning, guys. This is before the day gets started pretty much, but this will be on your agenda today. Make sure you're aware of that. Before we get too far along, starting with 4.3, page 107, a couple of things I want to touch on. One is everything that gets written here needs to go in your notebooks. Why? Because if it's there, then you don't have to keep watching the video over and over and over again. I'm fine being that popular on video. It doesn't bother me too much. I know just how ugly I am, so I'm not really too worried about that. The next thing I want to touch on is, you notice I keep changing the graph paper here. Well, today we're going to be graphing with slope and the y-intercept from page 4.3. We're actually going to page 107 and using that example to create a graph. Now, when I say that, this is where we're starting with. Page 107 starts us off by saying y equals 2/3 x minus 1. Now this is probably going to be a pretty quick video on this, and then I'll go through the pages and see if maybe you can learn that by doing the work that I'm going to give you on 4.3. That'll be on the agenda today as well. We want to move on because next week we're going to have a test go out for chapter 4. All right? Now, and we'll talk about that when I get online with you today if you've got questions. But here's our formula, and we now know that is y equals mx plus b. So if I underline my terms, you've been doing since 7th grade, I know m is slope, and I'm going to use the short version here, which is rise over run, and b is supposed to be where we start our graph. And I'm going to write this here. Beginning. This has been B for the longest time because the y-intercept is where we want to begin our graph. Step 1, right? So step 1 is the y-intercept. That's not really complicated, but let's check it out. We always want to make sure we do our best job, especially when we're on graph paper, because we got all our lines drawn for us, right? Now, I'm going to say this is pretty good. This is pretty good lines, right? But, and I'm going to write this in red because it's important to me. It should be important to you. Use a ruler. On graph paper. Why? Because it looks even better than this. I mean, you can see this is a little bit swimmy and a little bit swimmy. Put that in your notebooks. And you know, I had so much graph paper. But I mean, if you need to get graph paper, come and get it from school. Alright? There's a way to get it. Just let them know downstairs that you need graph paper and they'll give you some. It's right downstairs. That's where I get it from if I don't go and buy it myself. Now, so step 1 is the y-intercept. The y-intercept is this element right here. Y equals mx plus b. We're going to use -1. So here's why. I like all of my stuff in place. Y, x, right? And this is quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. Keep doing this because you're going to need this later more and more and more. So if you've seen it 100 times, this is positive, positive, or knockout L. This is X is negative, right? Positive. This is negative, negative, sleeping L. That's winky. And this is positive, negative. That's, we're talking about coordinates here, right? When I do that, knockout L, sleepy L, winky, blinky. Okay. Anyway, I get a little silly with that. So I'm going to use the deep pink color. I need to go and I need to intercept Y at -1. Ladunk. There it is. Ta-da! How hard was that? That wasn't killer difficult. That was pretty easy. Now all I got to do is figure out what the slope is. And in the formula, the slope is pretty simple. Step 2 is slope. And I'll use blue for this. M is slope, so this amount is slope. Now, I'm going to write this here because it's important. We're going to just simply use rise over run. And with this model, we should know by now, it ought to be gold for us, that this means we're going to go, and I'm going to use dots. I'm not thrilled with that. We're going to rise 2, right? And then from that point, we're going to run 3. Rise 2, run 3. If you've been having problems with this, look at this again, because this is the key to 4.3, and really the key to graphing any formula. So now I have this point to use, and I'm going to use the pink again, because I know that point's on my line. Now many of you have seen me before where I go, oh, okay, so that means I'm going to go 2, 3, 2, 3, and that's just so I know the line is still straight. And if I go -2 and -3, a negative divided by a negative is a positive, so I still have my straight line. Now, having said that, let's draw the line. Definitely use a straight edge to draw your line. Once you got the dots in place, you're not using a straight edge. A ruler, a business card, whatever you want to use, as long as it's straight. I'm going to use something straight. I don't want that color. I want this color. Pretty good, right? Okay. Let's shorten this. Just need a place to put my arrow. Now, remember one thing that people forget. In an 8th grade, I don't take points away from it, but every high school teacher I know does. You got to label that thing. We got a line now. We got a good line now. Should be marvelous. I want to label it. You do that with a curved line and your formula. My formula is y equals 2/3 x minus 1. That's your line. Okay, guys, should be okay now. got to get it together. We're looking towards testing on this next week, so, and that'll be an online test, so you got to go, run it, answer the questions, send it back to me on the paper. All right, thank you guys.